All right, so let's try example 2, where we're going to take just the first piece of our quadratic function and graph it. Just the first piece. Now, for example 2, our quadratic equation is now y equals negative 3x squared. So I want you to notice something. Compared to our first example, please notice that now we have a negative number. That's going to mean something, so I want you to pay attention to your graph. So let's start where we did with example 1. You set up your XY table. Remember those X values that I used over in example 1? We're going to use the same ones for example 2. Try your best to always use the same X values. If you can't, fine. If you have fractions, you may want to change. But other than that, let's always use 0, 1, 2, and then negative 1 and negative 2. You can't go wrong with those. Now it's time to plug and chug. You've got to evaluate this equation for every single y value. So let's just go for it. Well, we first know when x is 0, that takes this entire term and just makes it 0. All right? So let's get to it with with x equals 1. When x is equal to 1, that means I have negative 3 times 1 squared. Well, anything 1 squared is just 1. So y equals negative 3. There we go. All right? Let's go to the next one. Negative 3 times 2 raised to the second power. Well, 2 squared is 4. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. So I'm not sure how you're going to have to count. We're going to fall maybe below your grid. Don't panic. You can just count 2 more down to get the negative 12. Now, watch the magic. When x is negative 1, we plug that into our function. Negative 1 squared is just 1. So you're going to get the same value here for your y that you got when x was positive 1. Don't believe me? Check it out. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And then the same thing for the negative 2. If I go back here and I make this a negative 2, you're still going to get positive 4 when you square it. So your y will still be negative 12. So if you think about it, if you use the plus number, minus number every single time, you only have to do the work once. Now it's time to plot your graph. Take your grid there, make you a nice XY table. A nice coordinate plane. Go ahead and draw it there in the center. You want to grab you a straight edge so it's nice and neat. If you don't have one, get you an ID or grab one of my rulers or something. We've got to be neat if you want this to look really good. Set up your straight edge, and now let's go ahead and get started. First point is at the origin, no problem. Second point, 1, negative 3. 2, negative 12. So I may need some more space, and you can extend yours too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 2, 12 is down here. And then I go to the other side. I have x as negative 1 and negative 3 and negative 2 and negative 12. All right, so if you need to take a minute to get your points, go ahead, pause it. I've got my points, but it's not a parabola until you have a curve. So I'm going to have my curve, and this time when you connect your dots, you should see something very different than what we had for example 1. Is it still a parabola? Yes, because it's still a U shape. Looks like a V, but that's just my, drawing. There's one major difference between these two examples that made this parabola flip upside down. Hopefully you noticed it. If not, that's what we're